We are making today goulash. Hello all, another day, another recipe. I decided today to make spend some quality time with my son.
Me.
I was missing him and he doesn't live at home anymore.
No,
So it's nice just to get together, and we both love to cook, and he's a fantastic cook. So it's a kind of a bit of an inheritance. I'm leaving him my recipes, how I make food that he likes, so he can make it. So we are going to show you now what we have done so far, the prep. Goulash is traditionally Hungarian dish, but it has spread its wings, and it's very popular in Bosnia. We make it quite a lot because we are big meat eaters. And I am going to show you, it's a simple dish. You don't need a lot of faffing around with it. It's literally prep in the pot, cook low and slow for a little while, and there you have a delicious meal. Okay, let us show you what we have.
So here we have the prep. We did this before, just got it out of the way. It's really simple, and nothing really needs that fine chop or anything like that. We've got the onions, 3 of them, chopped roughly, 4 cloves of garlic thrown in there, the canned tomatoes.
2 cans of tomatoes.
Then we've got green beans, how many?
2 packs.
2 packs. All our seasonings, so you can see we've got paprika, salt, vegeta, pepper, tomato paste, and bay leaves. We've got our beef shin. Mum got this the other day. It's the perfect kind of meat for this. It's a little bit fatty. You don't want it too lean. And when you cook this low and slow enough, it comes really tender. And then you've got potatoes. How many do you think?
It's just 1.5 kilos of potatoes, and beans, 2 pack, and that's going to be our side dish. Mashed potatoes, delicious, and green beans. If you don't like green beans, just have a beautiful big salad. There are so many combinations you can do with this dish. You can have pasta, you can have gnocchi, you can have rice if you like it. It depends what kind of a carbs you are basically fancying, and just have that with it. It is fantastic for freezing. So if you make a bigger batch, divide it, put it in a freezer. Also, fantastic meal for a crock pot. Now you have these fancy crock pots where you can fry up first meat, which we are going to do, but on the stove. Fry it up, and then you bang in all other ingredients in the crock pot, low and slow. Leave it for however long, and it will be delicious.
So bear in mind, with goulash, I know there's going to be Hungarians, Romanians, loads of different cultures have their own spin on this, and they're all right in their own way. Obviously, came from Hungary, and that's where it started off. That's what it's most famous for. But every place has a different version of it, and you find that with all dishes in the Balkans, they'll have their own little spin on it, and they'll always argue over who's right and who's wrong. But the point is, it's going to be delicious either way, and we're just here to enjoy it. So yeah, and remember, with the onions and the beef, you want a 1-to-1 ratio. You want as much onions as you have beef in weight. Because they're 2 of the biggest components, the most important components of the meal.
And of course, mine is going to be the best.
That's a foregone conclusion. So, pot's warming up, we're all ready to go, but in the meantime, we just want to talk about some stuff. Like obviously me moving out, and Ben and I lived in this house for nearly 3 years, and obviously before that, I lived with my mum at our old house. And so I think it's we have loads of things we're going to talk about, because it's one of those things where it happens to every parent at some point, at different times and different circumstances, but we just want to talk about our experience of it. So yeah, and I know my mum's got a couple of questions for me, so fire away, Sharjah.
Yeah. Honestly, I miss him. Bottom line. And I think every parent, especially moms, they're going through this really difficult stage of having an empty house, but it's a normal progression that happens, and the kids are growing up, but it is difficult to say the least. You need to adjust. Suddenly you don't need to cook big meals. The meals are smaller. You're cooking for yourself. there is like part of the responsibility that you had for such a long time just goes away. So I was thinking today when we were talking about meals, I said like, yeah, why don't we talk about these things? Like, you know, what are the pros and cons leaving house? What do you think, Ben?
So pros for me is I'm about 22, so I'm quite young in this kind of point in my age to move out, because I know a lot of people who live at home until they're a lot older, and that it's become the norm now, where I know some people who are 28, 27, sometimes even 30 who have stayed at home, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just, for me, I thought, like, my mum, we don't have a huge house, I had a partner, and I thought it was the right step to do, and it was, to start off with, it was really, it was quite daunting, and it was something that I was a bit nervous to do. I did it, and for me, I've not been there living there for long. I think it's been about 2, maybe 3 months.
What has changed for you? Really? What have you learned out of it? What is different?
I've learnt, so one thing is living with your mum, no matter how old you are, you're always their child, if that makes sense. It's a sense of like, you're always going to get looked after and cared for. But there's also, as you know with all your mums, the mums are the boss. So you're living under a bit more of their routine and schedule that they've built. Because bear in mind, that's been the schedule and the kind of routine and the kind of the law of the house since you were, before you could do anything. So you kind of get used to doing it in your parents' way and in a way that suits the family. But now I've moved out, I'm feeling there's a bit more control. That's the beef going in, which I will show you now. It's going in, we're going to let that sear. And
sear it. Literally just sear it. Oops.
And yeah, so we're going to sear it, get some colour on it before we start putting all the other stuff in it. Yeah, I've got to the point now where I'm getting used to having a lot more responsibility on my shoulders, which I don't hate, because I can do it in the time and the way that it suits me. And I feel there's a bit more freedom, because also you've got to understand that at my age, what I want to do in my house is very different to what my mum would want to do at her age. I work in a restaurant, a pub, so I have friends around until early hours in the morning sometimes, because that's the schedule I go by. There's nothing wrong with that, but also I wanted the freedom to do that. And although I never did it when I was ready.
You're ready. The time has come where you kind of were I am okay to move out and I feel comfortable doing so. But nevertheless, we are both working. Time is sometimes really, you don't have enough time. And his schedule is different to mine. And if you want to maintain the relationship with your adult child, you really have to try and find this time. So for me, I think because we both like to cook, and I'm like now intentionally would ring Ben and ask, what do you think? Let us do one episode on YouTube. Let us cook something together. And that's our quality time. We spend time, we talk about the things. It doesn't matter what it is.
Because it's one of those things where I think at this age is you may not get as many moments with everyone, but you want to make as much use of it as possible. Like even if it's only 1 or 2 hours, spending it, engaging, and especially because YouTube is very new for my mum. I want to just help her with the hobby of how something she wants to invest into, get better at and learn. And in the same way my mum's done when I was a kid, and I wanted to learn something new or do something different, she'd always try and support it. Even if she didn't know what was happening, she'd just be there as much as she could.
Don't get me wrong, we had plenty of our ups and downs, really plenty, so but through ups and downs, it doesn't matter how hard, that is how you learn, you learn about yourself, how you learn about your child. And what I have done is I really try always to make sure they feel free also to pull me up on my shit if I'm not right or if I have done something wrong. When it's wrong is wrong. I want them to feel free and say, Mum, listen, that wasn't on. That's not okay. And we always spoke a lot. We didn't have many fallouts.
We never had many fallouts. There were points where...
One, where we both struggled with.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I think part of it was just living very different lives. Because obviously I was 22.
Yeah.
And there were points where I was going out to bars and pubs every single night. I wouldn't make that much of an effort at home. I was bad with my money, and I let my mental health and the position I was in that I put myself in. So I always knew that the position I was in was to do with me, my choices, the ones that I had. And yeah, there were points where there was animosity and difficulty, and there was, and we weren't seeing eye to eye. But as long as both you and both parties, any disagreement, try to just comprehend and understand what the other person is, the situation they're in, then you'll always get to a point of like in the middle. And because my relationship with all my family members at some point has been strained, and to the point where sometimes I wouldn't speak to them. And I think that doesn't mean we're a bad family that hate each other or bad people. It's just one of those things where like I'm 22, which doesn't mean I'm an adult, but I know nothing. I'm still blissfully unaware of the things I'm gonna learn. I have to learn. I will learn. And as long as you make an active effort to kind of learn and take every day as it comes, and to be considerate and just think about the people around you, but also not lose yourself in that. Because a lot of us, I think, will think about people to the point where we're not thinking about ourselves, and we are a person that debate. And it's a fine line between having your own best interests at heart, because you always should, but then also caring, considering for the people around you. You know what I mean? And I think moving out has kind of taught me that, because I felt way more responsibility on my shoulder. I'm eating some diabolical meals some nights because I can't be bothered to cook, which is just a reality. When I first moved out, I was like, oh, I can cook so many beautiful things.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, but I've started exercising for the first time in like my whole life, regularly, with a routine. I'm doing a sport. I'm thinking of competing next year for it, and that is a sign of growth that I didn't really do before, because I've had more of an understanding of myself, what I need, what I want, and in the same way, Mum is understanding more about her life and what she wants to be doing and the way she could be getting better within herself.
What I have learned through all of this process, my children leaving home, it's really that you have to let them go. You have to, just a little bit. You need to let them go. You need to let them make their own choices, good or bad. It doesn't matter. That's the only way they can learn. Even though it breaks your heart sometimes, and you can see it, and you keep saying these things, but no, they need to make experiences, and they need to figure out for themselves. It's we have to take, that's my idea, I need to take a stance that I am sounding board. I'm always there, no matter what, but I am not enabler. They need to do it with their own head, 2 hands, and they need to figure out what they want to do. So let us show you the food. What's happening?
Enough chatting. We've got food to show. Let me open the windows. Get in.
We will figure out how to record proper videos.
We're very new to this,
but I think it's fun. And you can see we are just browning the meat. I'm going to take it out in a minute, and then we are going to start sautéing your onions, garlic, adding the spices, etc.
So, and we will do a little. We want you to see the things that go in, the way it works, the stew. Because what do you call it, a stew? Goulash. It is a stew, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in essence is a stew.
Yeah.
But it's, every country has a different stew. Mm-hmm. Let me say, in Bosnia, we have a bean stew.
Yeah, grah.
Yeah, which is a lot of meat with the beans. Mm. Then in Hungary they have this.
Is paprikash a stew?
Yeah.
I think stews are very popular.
Actually, that is a really good winter meal. Cheap also, but it's delicious. We call it paprikash because it's make also with paprika seasoning. It's with chicken and potatoes and dumplings. It's really, really tasty. Comforting food, I would say.
Comforting, and also one thing I would say is when you're making this kind of food, it's not important, but it's beneficial if you get the ingredients from the place they come from, because Hungarians love paprika. It comes in a lot of their food. You saw how much paprika we're putting in this, and that's probably a conservative amount compared to Hungarians. However, sweet Hungarian paprika made from in Hungary is delicious. It has this, and you notice the different pepper varieties from different regions have just different flavours altogether. Like the same way that I've noticed with Bosnian food, their cabbages are sweeter, less kind of bitter, and a lot milder, and they're delicious, amazing for pickling, and so incredible fresh. The tomatoes they eat like apples, and it is mind blowing how in the Balkans the food can taste so different when you think it would be the same. So as you can see, we are browning the meat, and so we're going to take it out. We've got some nice colour on it, and we'll start introducing some different things.
And what I want now is these juices. I want them to caramelise.
Our onions.
Now we are going to saute the onions with garlic. You need onions to become basically translucent. That's what you're looking for. This is not going to take long, and in a minute we are going to start adding other ingredients. The main thing is low and slow.
Yeah, anyway, I've also got some questions from my mum. It's quite an interesting thing about moving out. It's only been a couple months. Obviously, you always think it's going to be a lot easier than it is. Bills are a never-ending nightmare. Not even paying them. Paying them is something I fully anticipated. But it was more just, sorting them out, and there's always something to sort out. But it is what it is. I live down the road. I'm quite fortunate. I don't live that far from my mum. I can walk here in about 5-10 minutes.
5 minutes.
And it's one of those things. So therefore, I can come on my days off. And this is one of my days off today. I'm seeing my mum, my dad, my sister. I'm seeing a lot of people around me. And it can get a bit difficult because I only have 2 days off a week, and usually they're the days off that no one else has off. And I'm working when I would usually see a lot of other people, but it's something that you kind of learn. And this is in me forever. This job for me is a really fun job. I like it, but I think at this age I want to be doing something. I want to go back to learning, is what I've said to a lot of people. When I'm looking at university, cybersecurity, computer science, because I did go to uni before, which didn't work out
I would
for me.
say now, I told you so, but I'm not going to.
She already has. So I don't know why she's acting all high and mighty now. But what was I going to say? But Mum, what is...
Sorry, 1 second.
Of course.
Cooking. Our onions are nice and see-through. You see, they soaked up all the juices from the meat. So, meat goes back in. Then we are going to add 2 cans of chopped tomatoes and all of our spices. We're going to mix everything nicely together. And I'll give you a tip. If you really like this dish and would like to have a nice side dish, what is fantastic, I don't have a time to make it today, gnocchi. Gnocchi, goulash and large green salad. Oh, delicious. Don't forget fresh bread.
And what we used to do a lot is my mum used to make 2 days worth. And the first day we'd have mashed potatoes, and the second day we'd always have gnocchi or pasta.
I'm going to let it bubble away for at least 2 hours and then come back and check. I will check it in the meanwhile just to see that there is enough liquid. In case not enough, you think it's getting too thick, please add a little bit. And that's that. And here we have our finished product. It is delicious. I'm just going to show you how soft the meat is. It's literally falling apart. We have green beans, mashed potatoes and goulash. Me and my son had a brilliant day today. Unfortunately, he couldn't stay all the way till the end while the food was ready, but his portion is safe. And Mum is going to send the care package to his place. He doesn't live far away. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you did, and if you would like to have more of videos like this. And now I'm going to enjoy my meal. See ya.